Good morning, good morning. And I'm already aware that, somewhat ironically, given the subject of this morning's Monday message, I'm a bit late. So anyway, you'll understand why that's amusing me as we go on. So, do you have a family member or partner, as I do, who, when you go to the beach on holiday, for example, or even here, as I do quite a lot because I like beaches, immediately you get there, my husband, this is what my husband does. He will say, "So, what time are we going? How long are we staying here?" And that used to really annoy me because for me, what I have found more and more and more, excuse me, is that when I want to relax and when I want to really fully enjoy an experience and take in everything that it has to give me, I don't want to be clock watching. I don't want to be reminded of time, of perhaps that there's a limit on that experience and that all that pleasure and that relaxation, if you like. And when my husband did this in the past, I used to feel that was sort of taking something from me. I now understand that actually he needs to do that in order for him to be able to relax. So for him, he needs to actually frame it in some kind of time unit in order for him to fully relax and enjoy himself. And it's just how he works. So I don't get annoyed anymore, but it's something that reminded me of what all of our individual relationships may be with time, with clock watching. And when that clock watching may be serving us really well and be really an important aspect of us being productive or creative even, or respectful, and when it might actually be counterproductive. So my personal experience is that because I am actually quite a timely person, because I spend a lot of my working life respecting my time and respecting other people's time, and obviously as a practitioner I am mindful of units of time that are allotted to my clients, and part of my job is to manage that well, that when I want to kind of unplug from that, part of the stuff that I need to do that is to unplug from clock watching, to unplug from the concept of time and any kind of limitations that puts on things. Obviously there's a balance to that. And I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we all toss our clocks out, and just go with the flow and hope everything will be okay. Not at all. Although sometimes that is exactly what we need to do, some of us. And there are other times when that doesn't really serve us. So it's kind of like everything. Really becoming conscious of when we need to be looking at the time, where we need to be managing these units of time, and when actually they can get in the way of things. And it may sound like a tenuous link, but obviously menopause, for those of you who are following me at the moment, is very much foremost in my head at the moment because I'm putting a workshop together about it. And it made me think about the whole concept of time and clock watching, and how it might serve us and how it may not during the process of menopause. And I actually thought about most of the women that I work with, supporting them through this natural series of changes. And the majority of them have found that regarding their own journey or transition through these series of changes as having some kind of limited time on it was not helpful. Basically, it was counterproductive. And as soon as they could fully embrace, and I would include myself, my own experience in this, as soon as they could fully embrace the concept of menopause being a journey, and that we may not even know what the destination is, but sometimes the pleasure is in the journey. Or pleasure sounds a bit of a stretch if you're really, really suffering. But that the experience of the many, many changes that are going to take place within us and eventually around us as well, because that's always what happens when we do internal changes, that is unique to each and every one of us. It is, it will take whatever it needs to take. So the timing will be very dependent on what resources we can call upon within ourselves and also externally for support through that. And as I said, that's what I do a lot of, is supporting women through this journey. And it's also a culmination of everything that we've chosen to date and how much house clearing we need to do in order to make these changes as smooth and as productive and creative as possible. And if we can do that, once we can let go of the concept of when's it going to be over? Sorry, when can I get back to my normal life, whatever that is? When we can stop fighting it, stop regarding it as pathology, as an illness, because it isn't, then we can kind of relax a bit into it. As I say, we can access whatever resources are appropriate to us, and we can really become much more conscious and clear about what we're being invited to do. And I fully believe that that is a fantastic opportunity to do that house clearing, to really recognise what's working for us and what isn't, what do we want to keep, what don't we want to keep, what new things do we want to invite in, what possibilities are there available to us, excuse me. And once we can do that, so many nuggets and jewels turn up for us. So I know this is hard, because if you are framing menopause, and much of the world does, if it's framed as pathology, an illness, and that everything's going to be awful, and that it's terrible what we women have to go through, then of course, if somebody then says, yeah, and by the way, it could take 10 years, I mean, no one wants to hear that if in that context. So I think it's really important that we can reframe this as this is a natural process. It's one we're all going to go through, whether we like it or not, and that we can choose whether that becomes a battle to remain without changing, because that's what we're doing, is we're trying to actually fight ourselves actually in trying to suppress any expressions of those changes. And in my experience, and in many of my clients' experience, the more we try to fight this, the more we try to suppress it, and to go, well, I want this all done and dusted in, a year, or even a month or whatever, then the more those physical expressions and emotional expressions are going to make themselves known, basically. So that was just one aspect of, for me and for many of my clients, where clock watching, setting a time limit, is really not helpful. And as I said, it's not helpful for me when I'm trying to relax and really fully experience something either. And I find that when I am fully relaxed, that's when some of my best, most creative ideas and thoughts come up, because I'm fully relaxed. And that's what we do. That's the point of things like meditation, is to get into that fully relaxed state, and then everything comes in. And that's what I'm inviting you to do today, I guess, is to really have a good look at what your relationship with time and with clock watching might be, and what you want to hang on to, what's really working for you well, and what perhaps is getting in the way of, for example, you fully enjoying yourself, or fully relaxing, or or not. So if you find you're somebody who gets regularly overwhelmed, for example, maybe your relationship with time management is something that you might want to explore, and let go of certain bits of it to help you to not feel that overwhelm as you do. And I've got lots of methods that can help with that. Or whether it's something, maybe you find that you're somebody who's constantly late, constantly apologizing, constantly feeling like you can never quite catch up and be timely about things. Respecting our own time and respecting other people's time is something that can really transform time management skills and help us to put boundaries in place. And that is certainly one function of looking at a clock, of scheduling things, of being quite boundaried about our time. It can be a very useful protective tool, if you like. It also can be counterproductive. So have a look this week, have a good explore or journal, however you want to do that. What is my relationship with time? When does it work for me to be clock watching, and when does it not work for me? And is there anything about that I want to change? What happens when I am in a situation where I do not look at the time, where it is not a feature of what I'm experiencing? What do I feel when that's the case? Is that something I want to do more of? Or is it something that actually doesn't feel very good and it is something I want to do less of? Do you wear a watch? Quite interesting. I've been noticing how many people don't wear watches anymore. I mean, I haven't worn a watch for about 10 years. And if you'd said to me, 15, 20 years ago, you're not going to wear a watch for most of the rest of your life, I would have gone into a flat spin. Now, I know that was kind of before everyone was looking at their mobile phones all the time. But that's another thing. Are you constantly looking at your mobile phone to see what the time is? Or do you do that with your watch? Do you do that with a clock somewhere in your room? How's it working for you? And that's pretty much it, really. So just noticing that and becoming conscious. Just the same as many, many other aspects of our lives that are coming up, especially during periods of change. They're just coming up to be looked at and to be sorted and decided upon as to whether they work for us or whether they don't work for us, and whether we want to have them come up and move out, or whether we want to have them come up and we appreciate them and we go, no, actually, you can stay. So that's my Monday message for this week. I would love you to pop any comments about how you measure time, whether it works for you, whether it doesn't work for you, when it works for you, when it doesn't. Do you wear a watch even? That's interesting to me. Pop them in the comments below. And if you think that you'd like to change your relationship with time in any way to make it work for you better, then do click on the link with this video and you can book a free call with me, or just have a read of my website, have a read of my blogs, see if you like the cut of me, and then you can book that call with me and we can help support you to make any changes that you want to make. Okay, thanks so much for listening and being here, and have a great week. Bye.